Hello, 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 and welcome to the Cheap Seats. This is your English Premier League show where we talk about all the things that are happening in the English Premier League. We found out this week that Kevin De Bruyne has got a little bit of smarts and he decided to negotiate a deal without an agent, which is very wild. But I hope he gets the agent's fees. I'd ask for an agent's fee there as well with the signing bonus, but I'm not too sure there. I've got AB and Dean with us. With me today to discuss everything that's happening in the week. We're going to be discussing the race for Europe, as well as Lionel, Jesse, or I don't know how else if people call him. But before we get into all of that, and we ask the guys how they're doing, remember, please do like, subscribe, and interact with us on these various platforms. We are active, and we'd like the most important one is that YouTube one. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. It goes into the algorithms. It also helps us get into other people's timelines on YouTube. I don't know what they call those things, but those little play next or up next. That's what helps. So please do that. Let me start with Dean. I think there was a tweet this week that said on Reddit that said something on Reddit that said they asked me for my hobbies at my job, and they said that, and I told them that I support Spurs and I cry afterwards on weekends. I watch Spurs and I cry afterwards on weekends. How was your weekend last weekend, and how are you doing?
I mean, I'm trying to not get upset about Spurs anymore because it's just perpetual sadness, to be honest. Like Mourinho is starting to make those comments about attacking the team, and you can just see it starting to go downhill from now. So honestly, it's just I'm just hoping it's a matter of time before he leaves. But yeah, another game, another 3 points lost. Can't hold on to a lead. I can't even remember. I don't even know how many points we've lost between the 80th and 90th minute of a game. It's shocking, but at least from an FPL perspective, I did well. So, silver linings.
Okay, we'll give you those silver linings there at Spurs. That's why you guys are more aligned to white and silver than the most of us. AB, how are you doing this week? I know you've taken up golf. Is it to run away from the fact that Man United is expected to slide, or are you just also surprised that they're hanging up there at the top with everybody else?
Yeah, look, maybe the less I watch Man United, the better we play. So maybe I should just skip this weekend's fixture, because the last time I watched a Spurs game with United, it didn't end well. Had a shocker of fantasy. I swore I put Jesse Lingard in my team starting, but he was on my bench. And yeah, jeez.
That's a costly mistake.
Yep,
very costly mistake. Well, the rest of us had a very good week. Lionel, Jesse came through. Harry Kane was my captain, and he seemingly scored some goals. So that was pretty helpful, with all the big names suffering there a little bit more. Gents, when we talk about the race for Europe, we're talking about the race of European spaces. You've got the UCL with the Champions League, which is the top four. Then obviously number 5 goes to Europa with the Champions of Carabao Cup, which Dean's hoping to be getting the Europa spot. If not, it goes to number 6 if it's won by anyone in the top 4. And then also number 7 is the FA Cup winner. If it's not anybody in the top 4 or 5 or 6, it will go to number 7. And so the question that I want to know is, obviously now you've got, if you look at that table, as I go through that table, you've got Leicester on 56, West Ham on 52, Chelsea on 51 and 5, Tottenham on 49, with Spurs at 6 and 7, and Everton on 47 points at 8. That is about 9 points separating those teams. And so with this week, we've got Spurs, Man United, Leicester, West Ham. You kind of feel as though it's going to be up and down. But the question I want to ask you, and I'm going to start with AB, is can West Ham and Leicester hold on to those Champions League spots? It'll be very great to get Champions League at the Olympic Stadium. It would also be very great to somehow get some Champions League football back at the King Power. Can they hold on, or will the inevitable Chelsea, who are behind them by 2-3 points, as well as Spurs, who are behind them by 3-4 points with Liverpool, will they be caught, or can they hold on with the way that they're playing?
So look, I think this West Ham issue specifically, let's just talk West Ham. I think Leicester might be in a little bit of trouble, but they speak to West Ham now. So this weekend's game of West Ham Leicester is possibly the biggest one for both of these teams. If Leicester win it, they get one step closer to the Champions League. But if West Ham win it, suddenly they've got their future in their own hands, because Leicester would then have gone and lost twice in a row, which is something that doesn't really happen with Leicester a lot. They may start doubting themselves, especially if they don't score again. You can forgive them for not scoring against City. Not every team can beat City. United can, but not every team can. But it's a really big 3 weeks for West Ham. They've got Leicester now. They've got a silly game against Newcastle, and then they've got the big one, the Chelsea match. Now, on paper, Chelsea should be third. In fact, second on the log. I called Chelsea finishing second with the squad they have. Quite a while ago. The fact that that squad actually can't play football is another thing, but that's not what we're talking about. But I think West Ham need to believe. They need to try and grind out these results, hope for some magic, because it is a lot of individual accomplishments that are keeping them in this sort of area. You can't discredit what Jesse Lingard has done in such a short space of time and how that can affect everyone around him. Leicester, we're a little bit worried about them because it's not the same Vardy that we're used to. James Maddison has been in and out. Harvey Barnes has done well, but he needs the guys like Vardy.
For this
and there we go.
So.
Iheanacho carried Leicester for a little bit. Can he come back and start scoring the goals? It's really tight. Like Leicester and West Ham are on the edge of possible like Champions League football or Europa League. And the hunt is on.
Yes, and the hunt is on. And Dean, looking at where Spurs are, they are 3 points away from fourth spot, and they are 7 points away from third. You and Liverpool are in the same predicament. You kind of need to win pretty much all the games, because obviously being lower down, the ones above you, Leicester, West Ham, can afford to lose, but you are in a position where you can't. And the question is, and obviously looking at everyone around you as well, I'm going to ask you that question as well. Can Spurs and Liverpool mount a challenge? Looks like Liverpool are seemingly finding some form. Yes, they beat Arsenal, we get it. They lost to Real Madrid, but seemingly now Klopp has found the fact that he actually needs to play centre-backs at the back rather than trying to use makeshift midfielders, and it's seemingly helpful. But can you guys mount a Champions League comeback? You haven't played in the Champions League this season. You haven't played in the Champions League. Obviously, wanting to get back with the new stadium, fans are coming back. Surely that would be. Surely that's what Mourinho signed up for.
Yeah, I mean, I think the moment Mourinho walked through the door, I think Daniel Levy would have said Champions League football is a bare minimum, and I think that's also the expectation from every single Spurs fan, that we've got arguably the best squad that we've ever put together. And the fact that we're in sixth position fighting for top four when, I keep coming back to it, but December we were top of the table and now we're worrying about winning a Carabao Cup to just maybe get into Europa League. It's a bit disgusting, to be honest, from a club perspective. So do I think Spurs could make top four? If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said yes. But based on our performances of late, I honestly don't see it. And I think the issue is we'll probably get to exactly what happened in Newcastle. We'll be leading a game and it's almost like you're waiting for the slip up to happen. Like you're waiting for someone to mess up or a lapse of concentration. It's not a question of if anymore. It's a question of when. So you can't have essentially for the next 8 games, every game is a final. That's the way Spurs need to look at it. We need to win every single game, or else Champions League football is just not going to happen. So I don't see that happening. And I mean, we don't have the easiest run in either. We've got United still to come. Obviously, we beat them 6-1, but that was in November. It's a game now that you look and you go, well, I just want to try and hold on and try to keep a bit of face basically in the Premier League. So I don't see Spurs finishing top 4 at all. I think same could be said for Liverpool. They they run rampant against Arsenal, but then that just takes a semi above average team to start knocking Trent Alexander-Arnold back, and all of a sudden they start falling to pieces. So I think there's frailties in both teams. I think Chelsea probably stands the better chance of those guys in 3, 4, 5 of being solid in the top 4. I mean, I know they lost 5-2 against West Brom, but you'd like to think that that's a one of a 1 in a million result, and you'd think Chelsea would come back. I mean, it's the first time they've conceded under Tuchel at Stamford Bridge, so it's a bit of a I think it kind of took us all by surprise. I think between Leicester and West Ham, I back Leicester more, just given their sort of pedigree in the league and where they've come from. So as a Spurs fan, it obviously wouldn't be great to see West Ham, of all London teams, doing well. I don't think anyone would have expected it, least of all Wahid, who backed them to get relegated at the beginning of the season.
Maybe that's what we need. We need Wahid to back you to get relegated.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, let's just hope. Yeah, let's hope Spurs get relegated in terms of Wahid's predictions next season. Then we win the whole thing. But for this season, we're playing for the Carabao Cup.
How detrimental is that for a Spurs team that's moving into a new stadium, unlike West Ham, who received the stadium on a free, lucky them? Because obviously we need all the revenue you can get. COVID's killed off all the revenue. This probably, you missing Champions League for 2 years in a row, could possibly be detrimental to the future of this club and the ability for this club to actually challenge the likes of City and United, who seemingly are on a good patch.
Well, it's a knock-on effect. I mean, if you're not earning the revenues from the competitions that you expect to be in, that obviously diminishes your kitty for your transfers. And I think that's everyone in the whole of world football can see that Spurs need to strengthen at the back. So all of a sudden, if you're not playing Champions League football, you disregard an entire pot of defenders that you may be able to attract with the money, but also people want to play Champions League football, and the kinds of players you want to attract to your club are those that want to be in the Champions League. You don't want to attract nothing and nobody to your club, playing happy to play championship football or happy to finish 10th in the Premier League. Those are not the kind of players you want. So it's a knock-on effect, and it's something that, when Mourinho came in, everyone thought, okay, we'll win something, that will bring some, positivity, we'll finish top 4, something will happen, and it was all good. But it's just a knock-on effect, and that's why, I mean, in the summer, our biggest transfer would be to get Jose out. Simple as. I don't care about anyone else coming in. I want him out. That's the biggest piece of business I want done.
Massive call there from Dean. Massive call. AB, we've spoken about Spurs and Liverpool. They're in 6 and 7. What about Chelsea? Obviously, they're in 5th. They're primed to take over. When one of these two teams slip, i.e. West Ham and Chelsea, they're back in the top 4. They've been yo-yoing up and down in that little top 4-5 position. They haven't had they're primed for a slide, but obviously they fired their coach at the right time while they were in the mid-slide, and now all of a sudden they had a great run. Now they've lost to West Ham, so to West Brom. So what do you have to say about their charge for the top 4?
So we talked about Chelsea having the best opportunity to fire Lampard with the run of easy games to go. And they did, and they achieved success, and they got some stability. Now it's squeaky bum time, and they've got West Ham, City, Arsenal, Leicester, and Villa to face. They've got the hardest run in. So if they want to be Champions League or be in the Champions League next season, they're going to have to beat their competitors. Okay, maybe Arsenal and Villa aren't really going to be competing for Champions League, but Leicester, West Ham, and City,
we've got the back door. Don't disrespect Arsenal. We've got the back door. We just need to get out of Eastern Europe next week, and if we manage to do that, we're primed for that back door spot.
I watched a movie called Hostel once, and they struggled to get out of Eastern Europe and Paul. So good luck with that.
Basically the same thing.
Well, Spurs went there and they found a way. They couldn't find a way out. Leicester too, but that's besides the point. Yeah. So this running of games is quite tough, and I think that's what's going to probably decide it. But sometimes with these teams who've been in the top 4 before, and I've watched it with Arsene Wenger, with some subpar teams throughout the Emirates rebuild years or the Emirates loan years, somehow find a way to come back from 6th, 7th to 4th. And it was these gaps that I was always looking for. So if a gap was 9 points, I knew it was possible, especially chasing teams like Tottenham. It was always the greatest draw of my life on the final day of the season, somehow Tottenham screwing it up and Arsenal getting those 3 points to just go into the top 4 and go into Champions League. Best moments ever. But it hasn't happened in a while, so I'm missing that. However, it was those gaps that we were looking for, and it was the quality of the sides that kind of brought it in. And so do they have the quality? Right now, it's a question of obviously coaching and putting it together, because it feels as though, like, if you look at Spurs, if you look at Liverpool, if you look at Chelsea, they have great players. They have incredible players, but they are being outcoached by guys like David Moyes and Brendan Rodgers, who you'd think would be below Jurgen Klopp, to Thomas Tuchel and Jose Mourinho. Do the coaches have it in them to motivate the players to go through these? Because obviously Dean said it's finals. It's 8 finals, and for Chelsea, effectively, it looks like it's 8 finals. Do they have it in them to motivate these players? You saw that Chelsea game against West Brom. We all saw what happened with what's happening with Spurs. Liverpool as well were blaming now the fact that you're playing at the Real Madrid training ground. The fact that you lost to Madrid, a Madrid team that had both their starting centre backs out, one to injury, one to COVID, and on top of that, Eden Hazard's not even on the field. Like I don't see. Do these managers have it in them to get these players to play these final 8 games and try and win all of them? Because they're capable of doing it. The question is, do the managers have it in them? I know, Dean, I know what you think about Mourinho. I'm going to ask AB about Mourinho and Klopp, and you'll come with Tuchel and Klopp. But AB, what do you think?
Sheesh. So Jose, I don't know. I've experienced the best and worst with him in the space of a week.
Is this the worst?
Yeah. I think Dean's right. The writing's on the wall for Jose. If he doesn't make Champions League, which was going to be a mandate for him, I don't see a way he's going to attract the players that he wants to sign. I know there was rumors of Vestergaard wanting to, or Jose wanting Vestergaard to come in and things like that. They're kind of like the Højbjerg signings. Like, you can't go and raid Southampton. Liverpool did that. They did it well. Now Southampton aren't like a sort of feeder club anymore. They only can produce so many decent players. I don't know. I think Jose can't really do much more with this team than he already has done. But now he's actually regressing because he's creating a toxic environment. He's blaming players, all that stuff. I think the writing's on the wall for him. With Klopp, however, I mean, he's created that attitude of it's us against the world, and now he's continuing to blame everything but himself. But he's currently they're currently the Premier League champions until City win it. I think the Fenway Sports Group will persist with Klopp because there is no one better out there. And if you can't back a guy who gave you the Champions League and a Premier League in 2 years, what's the point? But
it would be very crazy for them to fire him. It would be ridiculous.
It's not going to happen.
Well, although people have fired,
for American standards, like it's crazy.
I mean,
look at
Madrid, though. Yeah, look at Poch and look at Tuchel. They took their teams to Champions League finals and they got fired the next season. Football's tough.
Yes,
that's because we lost 7-2 to Bayern.
But on the other side, Dean, Tuchel and to a certain extent Klopp, do they have it in them to try and get these guys to go for one? I think it might be easier for Thomas Tuchel, but I kind of feel he's created a situation in Chelsea where guys like Chilwell don't know when they're going to play. Guys who've been bought for lots of money. It's Mason Mount. Mason Mount and Kante are the only, and Mendy are the only pretty much stalemate the guys you can pin down. Everyone else is free game. And that also works with morale. Like, obviously there's news that Tammy Abraham's leaving. Giroud's looking for another contract. Timo Werner's having the worst season of his life at his new club, which is weird. Kai Havertz doesn't know when he's going to play. But somehow it's working. Under Tuchel, they're the best defensive team ever since he's joined. They had the most clean sheets. But where can he push them for these final 8 games and say, yes, we've got all these tough teams, all our neighbors around us in the log, and let's do this. And obviously with Klopp, it's champion syndrome. They don't know what's going on. Like, can Klopp do it? Because because that's the only difference between, I think, all these teams and Champions League is the coaches.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a look at the two coaches, I mean, obviously Tuchel learned a lot actually of what he knows from Klopp, back in the days in Dortmund. So in terms of managers going head to head, it is quite interesting. I mean, the reason why I lean more towards Chelsea making it is you look at Tuchel, and I watched an interview during the week where, Werner wanted to go in and do, shot taking practice, whatever you want to call it. And he was like, why, go home and take it easy. Like, it'll come, whereas, and that's a coach they're not making excuses for that. He's basically putting a bit of like ease and rest in his players. And then you got Klopp that's blaming the bloody stadium. And if I'm Mohamed Salah or Sané, or not Sané, Sadio Mane sitting in that bus, you're kind of watching that interview and you're going, is this Oak being serious? My manager's complaining about that the stands weren't big enough and that's why we lost. So I think the different types of morale that will instill in the teams is, worlds apart. And I think in terms of which camp you would rather be in, it's kind of weird to say, because we've always said the Liverpool camp has almost like a brotherhood to it. But I think in terms of where the coach's comments are more sort of aligned to what the players would want to be feeling, it's definitely in Chelsea. So, Tuchel, he has a great history anyway. He knows how to play football. So I don't think there's any worry about his pedigree. It is worrying that Klopp can't get, Premier League defending champions to pull together. And even if you look at that game against Arsenal, I mean, Liverpool were dominant in the first half, but until Jota walked onto that field, it didn't look necessarily like they were going to, pierce that attack or pierce that defense. So again, you're kind of looking at relying on one player that's a bit of a spark, and then as soon as they got that first goal, it was like Liverpool were coming back at it. So in terms of Liverpool, I think they'll mount a bit of a charge because I don't see them getting through in the Champions League. But I mean, Liverpool will finish above Spurs for sure, but I don't think that they'll get into that top 4. I think it's 5th place at best.
Okay, now let's move on to one man who's helped the Hammers stay up at 4. Jesse Lingard. He didn't cut it at Manchester United somehow, but all of a sudden
you can't do that. AB, he's not your player.
He's not a player
anymore.
He's definitely not going to be your player.
And now he's seemingly found form. I think he's now, ever since he joined West Ham, only one player scored more goals than him. That's Harry Kane, and that's 7. Lionel Jesse scored 6. West Ham are humming again. They've found depth in that creative 3 behind Mikel Antonio, and obviously they're looking good with David Moyes, very strong in defense. AB, what went wrong at Manchester United? Why are we seeing Lionel Jesse, but he never got an or we never saw that at Manchester United?
Okay, look, he had a shocker of a season in 2020. I think Alisson scored more assists than him. He did really nothing. So I'll give Lingard the benefit of the doubt because he's a hard worker, but he is played out of position at United. He's sort of seen as this utility attacker at United, where he can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play as a number 10 or a shadow striker, and that's really not the sort of thing you need to be doing with a guy who's 28 years old, who needs to be playing in a regular position week in, week out. At United, he'd sometimes... I mean, when he was breaking through in the team, and that was under the Van Gaal era, it was good to play him in different areas because you'd give him experience and stuff, but he is definitely an out-and-out number 10. There's no question about that. He needs hard-working wingers to come with him. He's very quick. He does work hard. But under Oli, we've got our number 10. We've even got a backup number 10 who doesn't play. You've got Bruno. You've got Donny. He's never going to fit in at United, unfortunately for Jesse. He could potentially play on the right wing, but he won't be as effective. He needs to be on the fringes of that box, making these quick passes, chasing down defenders, being inside a goal-scoring opportunity, not feeding others. I'm really happy for Jesse. he needs to try and force a move now in the summer. I just read that West Ham.
I think we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay, cool.
Let's
We'll
get Dean
there.
in. What's working at West Ham for Jesse? Is it the fact that he's not playing at Old Trafford under the scrutiny? I understand the Olympic Stadium is also big enough, but obviously it's not as big and ferocious as a fan base. What's happening? Is it just he loves David Moyes?
To be honest, I mean, I think it's very much exactly what AB touched on. I think he's playing in the right position at West Ham, but I also think a lot of it has to do is, none of us can deny that Jesse's a bit of a big character, if you want to use the PC term. He's got a bit of an ego on him. And for him to be a star at a team, he's kind of one of those players that need that. It's almost like a Pogba. He needs to be the star in the team. And I think he's found that at West Ham. I mean, it's not often that a player can come off from not playing and then start putting the moves that he does. I mean, that little like flick back he did in the corner against Wolves on the weekend, that's something that someone does that's, full of confidence. And to only get that in, I think, 8 games that he's played for West Ham, it just shows that it's there, he wants to go and he's raring to go. And I also think the Euros are playing a big part in his mind. Obviously, every English player wants to, get on that plane and have a go. So I think there's a lot of sort of contributing factors, but I think the biggest thing is just he's actually got the spotlight on him, and he's one of those players that relishes in it, exactly like AB said, he wants the guys running around him, and he wants to be that man that's kind of looking to make something. He wants to spark something. He's always been that player. He's always been there. He just hasn't had the opportunity. So going to West Ham was probably the best move for his career, no doubt. Whether that's long-term prospect of him, because I think if he had to walk into any other team now and he could play, I think he could show this level of form at any team if he could play in that position because of the confidence that he brings. It just depends which team does he go to. And I think that's the biggest question for next season.
Yes, moving on to that question, AB, what does Jesse Lingard do? Manchester United have picked up his option in December. They sent him out on loan, so he's there until next year. So he has to come with assets, or unless if you're willing to just settle and let him leave freely at the end of the season. We know what's best. So I would say what's best for him is for him to try and get a settlement and leave, and then go either join a West Ham, an Arsenal, or a team that's playing in Europe that can play him. Look, quite frankly, I need a number 10. I'm learning a number 10 from Real Madrid who's going to go back there. I need a number 10. I'm sorry. I don't have Son. I don't have Donny.
I think he would be good at Arsenal, though. He would be good at Arsenal.
Yes. Like, even Donny van de Beek. Give me Donny. Like,
give me Donny. Give me Donny. I'll take Donny.
Yeah.
And then you can have JC.
Yeah. So, but what's best for Manchester United? Obviously, he's their asset. What's going to happen?
It's a very tough question right now, and especially it would be made even tougher for United to sell if West Ham qualify for the Champions League. Because if West Ham, let's say, get that 4th place, United should not technically sell to a rival, and that's that's your rival. You can't be doing this. But at the same time, he works with West Ham. So do you sell to a rival who are in the Champions League? And what's the price tag? United want 30 mil, which I believe is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it's for a player with 1 year contract.
At least.
Anyway, I don't determine the prices, but I don't see Jesse having a future at United as a number 10. When United's play, they get pressed, because if you do not press Man United, you will lose. But if you press Man United, you have a really good chance of beating them. It's simple. United do not have players who are good with the ball, aka Fred. But yeah, so Jesse's going to get a lot more space, a lot more time to do his thing, to be creative, to be influential at any other club but United. And he needs to move. He needs to force that move now after his loan move. It's going to be really tough if West Ham do qualify for the Champions League. I don't see him going to a Champions League playing English team. in my opinion. I think that would be really unwise from a competitive point of view.
Dean, here's a question, and this is, I think I asked on our football group. Where do you weigh a player's future over a club's success and a club's big-headed? Because that's his big-headedness. I don't want to sell to a rival, but he's surplus to requirements. Where do you weigh that? Because with Jesse, he deserves better than United, but United are going to hold him for whatever price it is. Where do you weigh that? Because quite frankly, unless they're looking for a bidding war.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, football's a business, right? So I mean, they are going to do what they want to do, and I think if it was any other club, I think maybe they would keep a little bit of the players' interests at heart. I mean, I can't say much because Danny Rose wanted to go to Milan and Spurs didn't even listen to that. So
is he still a Spurs player?
He's still a Spurs player, but he still wants to get on that flight to Milan. But then you also look at some of the other stuff United did. I mean, they were also the guys that didn't know how to work a fax machine when De Gea was supposed to go to Madrid.
We knew how to work a fax machine.
Exactly, and it's the same story with
Romero,
the goalkeeper that wanted to go to. It's the same story. So
to be fair, Romero isn't in the continent at the moment. He is at home in Argentina.
The point is, I don't think United will keep Jesse's best interest at heart. I think exactly what AB said. I don't think they would sell it to a rival. I mean, it's weird to say, but West Ham, especially if they get that Champions League spot, they won't sell him to them. I mean, they'll probably look at like a Brighton or a Villa more to sell him to than
Jack Grealish and Jesse. Okay. AB, Declan Rice for Fred and Jesse Lingard. Are you taking it?
Ollie loves Fred. Ollie really likes Fred. Fred does a lot of work. He does a lot of running. He's not the best.
Declan Rice is unreal, though.
Yeah, but Ollie has his favorites, guys.
So you guys want to use the little that they're going to get out of playing in Europe, all the profits that West Ham are going to get for playing in Europe, and use that to get Jesse Lingard through the door.
Android Mole for Jesse Lingard. That's what United are going to put it up at.
You guys are cruel. But anyway, it is a business, and that's what it is. So now let's go to this weekend's fixtures. Obviously, last time United played Spurs, we were shocked, surprised. I don't know. I think Dean was surprised as the rest of the world. Because the United got a hiding. Yeah. But the tables have turned. Now United are in second. Spurs are, I don't know, seventh. Looking to come back in. Sixth. Yeah, well,
we'll take it. Okay. All difference, we'll take it.
Is it going to be one-way traffic the other way? Away teams seemingly bossing the home team like the last time? AB?
I don't know. So I'm a little bit hesitant because United don't really have a strong squad, in my opinion. Well, a fully fit squad. I know Rashford hobbled off and he's apparently playing tonight, but I don't know. We'll see. United have done really well to win games in the last 5, but they haven't impressed in the last 5. I know we're playing Granada tonight, and knowing Ollie, he's going to put up a strong team there. So that's what.
So you're playing Kennedy and Soldado. That's great. Wow, well done. And that's great. Yeah, well done. I know why. I know who Europe loves more out of the English sides, but anyway, that's fine. Well done. And so there's no revenge. There's no revenge. There's no. We're gonna replay that match every week in the team video session to remind the players how hard it was, and then you just go on Sunday and you use the famous Mourinho line or the famous Harry Kane line. Let's go F them up. Are we gonna use that? Okay, so that's not attack.
So right now, all that matters for United is finishing second.
Okay.
You can't go and make this emotional. This is business now. Because when you make things emotional, you take a draw and you walk away and you say, "Cool, thanks for coming. We'll be second in the in the Premier League and we'll earn that Champions League spot." You can't be emotional now.
You need a win. Can you get a win?
So the biggest issue that I have with this fixture is how many games have United won in the last 5 minutes, in the last 2-3 weeks? I mean, almost all of them are coming. Those goals are coming in the last few minutes.
Yeah,
And
it's
Spurs,
Fergie time.
yeah, and Spurs are the kings of conceding late. So it's just recipe for disaster for Spurs. So I think Mourinho will come out and try and save some face. I think beating United might put a little bit of silence a bit of the doubters for now, which I think, him beating United, he's always got his little personal agenda, which is the reason why I think he'll be up for this game. And I think exactly that, like AB said, it's if you press United, you're in a good place, and we know that from when we played them previously. So I think it will be an interesting game. Do I think we can win? Absolutely not. I think both teams walk away from it with a draw, and it's just another week of Premier League football. So it's a game that should be so much more for both teams. Unfortunately, I just think it's going to be one of those games that kind of ends in a fizzle. And unfortunately, if United win, I'll sit here next week and I'll be like, yeah, United won, fine. And if Spurs win, I'll be like, okay, cool, that's papering over the cracks. So,
but you could possibly find yourself at the end of the weekend in the top 4 if results go your way.
And the thing is, we should have been we wouldn't have been in the top 4 if we had won the game, but we should have been in a much stronger position. If we had beaten Newcastle, I would have been a lot more confident and I would have been a lot more positive about the team. Getting a 2-2 against Newcastle, and it wasn't even like it was a lucky 2-2. Newcastle were thrashing us in that second half.
Yes, Joe Willock, the best loan signing ever after Jesse Lingard.
They were absolutely, I mean, I'm not the best person to talk about Spurs at the moment. So yeah, it's sad because like I said, it should be a lot more for both teams, but unfortunately, I just don't see Spurs coming away with the result. At best, 1-1 draw.
You see what happens when Arsenal start beating Tottenham. It's a Mourinho-led Tottenham. It's breaking their fans. I do apologize, but wow, I'm loving this. Next game has a possibility to drop West Ham from 3 or 4. Yes, from 4 to 7. Essentially, if Liverpool and Spurs somehow find a way to win. What's your predictions for that West Ham Leicester game? Will it be the best result for both teams is a draw?
Sure.
So Dean, what do you think it'll end up in a draw? Do you think that West Ham have the edge over Leicester with all the injuries?
I think best. So this is the problem. I think best result for the league is for Leicester to win, because then I think that top 3 will kind of be a little bit more solidified if Leicester win. But then it's a pure race for 4th position between the guys that we've mentioned. I don't think it'll be a simple run over for Leicester. I mean, like AB said, they've lost 2 in a row. They obviously don't, that's not what we're used to with Leicester. So they are going to come out guns firing. But it is, you can't deny it. It's a different team in West Ham when Jesse Lingard's playing, and it's not going to be.
Antonio is leading that line. I know a lot of people don't like him, but he does the job.
He does what he needs to do, and I think that's the point with every single one of those players. They've got someone that just does their job in that West Ham team. It's as simple as that. You've got Musuako on the left. You've got Souček. You've got Rice. I mean, Declan Rice is mammoth. It babbles me about why. I would love to know why Chelsea sold him.
I want to know the guy who signed off on Declan Rice leaving Chelsea.
I wish Cyrus would come here and it would be like it was this guy, so that we could laugh at him for the rest of his life, because that was the worst decision anyone at Chelsea has ever made.
And the funny part is they could possibly buy him back. But that's another story, and that would be wild. AB, what do you think of this fixture? Who do you think is going to come out? Is it going to be a draw or one for one of the two?
For Leicester or for West Ham? I want a West Ham win because that would keep the chasing pack at bay. A draw just keeps the status quo of Leicester. Because if worst case scenario United lose, at least Leicester don't catch up. So yeah, I want West Ham to win. I think West Ham have what it takes. I think if they become really physical and work hard, they can beat Leicester. But that Leicester team's quality when they want to. We saw in the FA Cup against United. Jeez, they turn it on. They are not a bad side. So I would like a West Ham win, but I think it's going to be a draw.
What I can tell you is it's the first time, I think, since I've been watching this league where West Ham have had, I think, 4 or 5 cult heroes in one side. Declan Rice, Mark Noble, Souček. And even Mark Noble's not even playing. That's how deep his team is. And you've got Jesse Lingard, you've got Mikel Antonio. The only thing that they need is a full London stadium to try and just make those foxes go back into their holes. I'm secretly, I'm like a West Ham fan because the first time I ever went to London, I stayed near that old Berlin stadium, as they called it, with Upton Park. But it's just incredible when they're in full song. It's like, and it's great to watch. So I'm hoping West Ham wins because it closes the gap. It brings everybody in, and I hope Spurs, for the one time this season, I hope Spurs beat Manchester United. So Manchester United can also go in basketball terms be on the bubble because they could also get knocked out. So that's going to be fun. And then so that's one thing. I'm hoping Kane comes good, and you'll see that in the FPL picks. But we'll go through with that next. So thanks, guys. Let's go into the FPL section of the show. Please do carry on watching. We've got some incredible things for Game Week 31 and something to let you know about Game Week 32. So it's happening right now. Hello and welcome back to the FPL section of the Cheap Seats, the weekly FPL show where we discuss all our teams and we discuss what we've done in the previous week and the changes we're going to make because of the mistakes we made in the previous week. Like, hey, Adamula Lukman, I'm up. I'm sorry. I backed Scotty Parker. No, I'm sorry. It's fine. They're getting relegated. It's okay. But I still managed to get about 76 points, which is pretty good. So that was a good week for me. Yeah, found a way. Always find a way. Oh, yeah, yes. And also, like, Aston Villa lost, but somehow there's a save ratio that this man keeps on doing. Martinez is just making Arsenal's decisions even worse every week, but it's fine. We've got Leno. How was your FPL week, AB? How's it looking?
Not happy about it. No one performed. Like, literally, okay, Kane did something, Bruno did something, Son did nothing. The one dude who did something, Jesse Lingard, I left on the bench. And I'm just like, but why? Why did I do that?
Rookie errors happening, and you think you've lost top spot in our league, so that's going to be, it's going to probably haunt you for like a very long time. Dean, how was your week?
Yeah, my week was good. I managed 60 points. I'm up to 160,000 in the world, 4th in our league, catching AB. So FPL is the only thing that I'm looking slightly like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to football.
Making a run. Okay. Normally we ask everyone to give us the player that we're transferring in, the player that we're transferring out, the differential they think is going to be a differential for the week, and also a captain for the week to help you guys think and we'll discuss other players as well. But let's go with the one who's making a run right now, Mr. 100,000, Dean. So Dean went with transferring in Chris Wood, transferring out Mikel Antonio. Kevin De Bruyne is his captain this week, and Danny Ings the differential. This is going to be fun. Dean, firstly, Chris Wood. Really?
So my whole thing is I need to get Antonio is a great player, but this whole injury problem that he's having, you don't know how long he's going to play. I mean, he only played 35 minutes against Wolves. And I've been wanting to get rid of him for a little bit, and I just haven't been able to find someone to replace him with. And I think if you look at that Chris Wood option, they've got, he's really coming into a bit of form over the last 2 or 3 game weeks. He's managed to get a decent amount of points. So I needed someone that was on kind of the same price point, if I can call it that. And the fixture against Newcastle just helped me make that decision. I mean, Burnley don't have great fixtures coming up, but again, like I want to move to that 3-5-2 or 3-5-2 formation. So I just need a little bit of a differential striker. So I've got Kane and Bamford. Those are the guys I'm going to finish with. So if Chris Wood can pitch in with a goal or two, I'm not going to say no. So that's the reason why I got rid of Antonio. West Ham's fixtures also have a touch and go, even though they are, in great form. I think the man you get in now from West Ham is Jesse Lingard. You don't look at anyone else from that West Ham side. And then some of the other guys, I mean, differential, Ings is a great choice for this week only in terms of a differential. They're playing West Brom. So I was going to bring in Ings, but then I saw the rest of the fixtures and I thought, probably not a great long-term move. But Ings could come good. I mean, they played, I can't remember who they played over the last weekend, but he came to the good. He scored some goals and he was there. So
interesting enough, they've scored their highest points. Both Ings and Wood scored their highest points in the last game week this season. So that's a good thing for you and for those because Chris Wood's a good striker. He's no scrub, and we just needed Danny Ings to find that form after that injury, and so seemingly now the Saints are trying to make a run for probably because obviously every position is money, so they're trying to make some sort of a run. So that's a good one. So let's look at Dean's team one last time. Just have a look, and we'll go through. So now the next man, number 2 on our league. I don't know where he is. He's probably like Mr. 10,000. AB finally after 3 weeks. Rashford, Iheanacho as your differential. You transferring out Son and Mo Salah as your captain. Why are you transferring out Son when next week it's a double game week for Spurs?
I made a mistake.
I messed up.
Yeah. Look, I screwed up. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know next week. I've been tired of Son. So obviously he's gonna go and score a hat-trick this week. I just got tired of him. He's a nice guy. He went to the army. He's everyone loves Son. But yeah, he hasn't been getting points. I actually don't even know how many points he's gotten me in the last 5 weeks since Bale. Yeah. So Son needed to go. I think with Martial's injury and Cavani possibly going into early retirement, Rashford and Greenwood would probably do most of the damage for United together with Bruno. So hence why I'm bringing Rashford in. But now I'm a little worried about his injuries. So yeah, that's not good. Iheanacho, I signed a little bit late, but he does have favorable fixtures coming up after West Ham. And if Leicester are going to do well, him and Vardy are going to have to do something, especially with Bonds being out. And then captain-wise is really difficult because your standard captains are playing. Your standard captains are playing big games. Like Kane will score against United because United are cuck at the back. Bruno will score against Spurs because someone will dive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Rashford might do something. Bamford is playing City, so there you go. So Salah, I went with because I think Klopp is going to remind him of that 7-2. Was it 7-2? Yeah, it was 7-2.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, 7-2. And if Liverpool are going to win, it's going to be goals from Jota or Salah. So, at least if Liverpool win and, I'm like, Liverpool won, at least it's going to be Salah. So it's been a really tough week, guys, to pick players. It's not fun.
No, it was. It was. But somehow I got saved, and I'll let you know what happened. So I got rid of Son 3 weeks ago before I found out that Spurs were going to have a doubles game week next week. And so I had extra cash because I was playing Ademola Lookman. So I brought in Lookman last week thinking that he'd be a differential for thingy. He didn't end up playing. I think he got 1 point. He got injured with that hamstring. So I had to take him out. So thanks, dude. Thank you. But I had enough money. I had about 7.7 in the bank, and I was trying to figure out which midfielder to bring in. And the two that I've put up there in transfer and in differential were the guys that I thought could come in. Mason Mount is the second coming of Frank Lampard. Don't tell him this, but literally he is scoring from midfield. He's got 6 goals this season. Diego Jota's got 6 goals in a many small amount of appearances he's made. So I decided on the Liverpool man Jota because they were playing Aston Villa. I was working on the revenge angle. And then I decided to captain him. My question, obviously, I've got De Bruyne, I've got Fernando, Bruno, so it might change. I've also got Harry Kane up top. You can never go wrong with those guys. But the other sneaky one is Ollie Watkins. If Aston Villa are as legit as they are, and seemingly this is probably the last chance for them to make a push for Europe, they have to beat a big name again. And with that centre-back pairing of Kabak and Nat Phillips, who I don't think is good enough, and you just need a striker who's quick enough to come inside there. And Grealish probably coming back in, who's also another transfer risk. He's a risky player. You can bring him in, but he's quite risky because I do think he will play, but I just don't know how many minutes he'll play. But he will have an impact somehow this weekend. And so that's the other captaincy option I had. But I went with Jota because I don't want to go with De Bruyne because everyone else is going with De Bruyne, and that's smart money because it's Leeds. But also the other thing is that De Bruyne played Champions League in midweek. Sterling, Aguero, and Gundogan were rested as well. So and Mahrez were rested. So those guys could come in, and maybe you might see somehow a switch between Gundo and De Bruyne. But that was my thinking this week. I just hope Jota scores because right now Liverpool can't buy goals, and the only man bringing them goals is Jota. And to a certain extent, yes, they looked better than Arsenal, but Arsenal just were playing. It looked like anti-football at times. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was bad.
I was sitting there going, these guys just came. I don't know what they were trying to do. And so I want to take that out, and I know if Nasli is listening, she'll probably jump at me. But I do think that Jota is the man, and Klopp needs to let go of this Firmino dream. It's over. It's done. He's the first transfer out the door at the end of the season. Gives you nothing. Jota gives you everything in that position. And so for me, that's what I'm going for this week. Are there any other sneaky differentials looking at the fixtures? I see a tasty Sheffield Arsenal.
Lacazette.
Odegaard, Lacazette. I think those are probably the two guys you'd be looking for. Maybe even if you have Leno in goals, I'm thinking of putting Leno in goals. You've also got Burnley, Newcastle. We've spoken about Chris Wood. This is also another sneaky 6-pointer for Nick Pope, if you have him, which is something that can really help you out. Chelsea, Crystal Palace. As we've spoken, Mason Mount all the way in. I don't know who else is going to be playing, but Chilwell scored over the weekend, so I think he might get the nod on the left again.
Someone like James against Brighton.
Yes, exactly.
I think a big one is Wolves. Wolves is a big. So Wolves has got Fulham, Sheffield, Burnley, West Brom the next 4 games. So,
but then who at Wolves?
So I think the only person you look realistically now at Wolves is Pedro Neto. And I think it's one of those massive differential picks. Traore got an assist at the weekend.
He's playing higher now.
Yeah,
he's playing higher now.
It's not him.
He's in the realm where I would play him. He's in the realm where I'd put him in because they were playing that rubbish 3-4-3 and he was playing right wing back, and that's not him.
But I honestly think, at Pedro Neto, 5.7, and those for the next 4 games, if you're trying to look at something that may come to the good. I mean, Wolves are terrible at the moment. But if they had Raul Jimenez, everyone would be on Raul Jimenez in these next 4 games. You'd be jumping on it. So you kind of you don't want to ignore Wolves in the next 4 games, but at the same time, exactly, who do you bring in? But it would only be Neto or maybe Neves. But again, that's also touch and go. So it is an interesting pick, but I think if you're looking for a transfer this week, that could be a good one for the next 4 weeks. And it's a bit of, if you're looking at like a differential between a Lingard or a Jota even, and you've got that kind of money to spend, it might be a bit of a shot. I'm not going to do it, but someone else out there listening might want to.
No. So my thing is obviously, I think Pedro Neto is just around about the 5.8s. Around there. 5.7. Yeah, so that's Rafinha territory. So if you're tired of Leeds, take Rafinha out, put Pedro Neto in. It's possibly what I might do next week. But next week I'm I'm going to try to figure out which second Spurs player outside of Kane I need to bring in without having to do 2 transfers. So that's going to be fun. But anyway, gents, any final thoughts for this game week? Yes, for everyone, AB, listen up. The game week is tomorrow. It starts tomorrow. Doesn't start on
Tomorrow's
Saturday.
Friday.
Yes, tomorrow is Friday. Yes. So you got your picks in. So make sure that you have the right players on the field this time. But yeah, so you've been warned, all the listeners and the viewers.
I now rely on when you tell me the thing is, Paul, you know that. I now rely on this show to be able to be like, here's the deadline. Okay, let me go and do the
I'm going to go do my transfers now. But
100%.
remember, it's Friday night, and it's an earlier. It's no longer 8 p.m. It's now 7 p.m. because they've moved their clocks. Yeah, back. So, the bloody Brits, but it's fine. So let's just close the show out. Thank you very much, Dean and AB, for joining. Thank you very much to our viewers and our listeners on the pod. Thank you very much for joining us and being a part. Please do send comments and questions on Twitter, wherever we are on the social media platforms. One last thing, please don't forget, please do follow us on these platforms, interact with us as well, like and subscribe on YouTube. That's very important for us, as well as you can send people DMs. I know people don't like DMs, but you can interact with the guys on Twitter. They're very nice people. AB's going to be talking about golf this weekend, so he's still a football.
I'm also going to be talking about golf because Bloody Spurs are playing United. So.
Well, I'm not. And all the best to the teams that are playing on Thursday. All the best to you guys, and hopefully you don't get knocked out like Spurs and you come back on crying. But from myself, AB and Dean, and the rest of the Chiefs team, le sale kakagiso.